We are presently in Mill Valley, California, and my plans are to move at the end of May 2015 to Bend, Oregon. Last year I fell and broke my wrist and had surgery, but I just thought, you know what, I'm just going to stay put. I'm not going to move now. And then my daughter said, when are you going to move up here? And I thought, well, I'll think about it. My rent was being raised another $300, and I thought at some point I need to make a change. My children are there, my grandchildren, 5 grandchildren are there, so that's been a big draw. It feels like the time is right now for me to go there, and whether it'll be my place for years or a couple of years, we'll see. Now I'm ready to take the next step. I feel that one needs to, in order to expand and to keep growing, is to get out of the comfort zone and take some risks, or look at it as not being a risk but new opportunities to live life fully.
I'm with my mother here. We've known each other pretty much my entire life, as you can imagine. I believe now that we're in a whole nother kind of place in both of our lives, it made sense to me for my mom to relocate to Bend for many reasons. Number one, to be close to family, so she could see our kids on a very regular basis. But then also for me to have her close by, knowing that there are other people kind of within our family that can help her out, and you know, we can kind of keep an eye on each other.
I moved up here about 2.5, 3 years ago. I was renting a house to see if I was going to like it here. And then my son decided, he came over here and looked at Touchmark and thought it would be a good place for me.
Recently, my mom moved to a place which is slightly more of an assisted living kind of environment. But really importantly for me is that when I leave town, and if for some reason my sister happens to be out of town at the same time, it's excellent for me to know that she has care ultimately within steps away.
They're happy that I'm here. They can get in touch with me, see me if they want, or take me places if it works out. I am not driving now, and that's a huge change. It's important to learn, probably have boundaries, not to ask too much, but be able to feel like I can ask for help and not feeling dependent. I guess the one thing is I also need to meet some more people and just have more friendships. It feels lonely at times. And you know, I love the space and you know, this beautiful place, my home, but it's quiet. I mean, you can go in these halls and nobody's out of their rooms.
Because we're in the same town, I can drop by if I need to just check in. And I think the simple check-ins go a long way when it comes to managing health, and also in terms of managing the kind of creating that experience of living independently ultimately for as long as possible. There's something where they call like learning the pathways to a new place. And so if you get into a place early enough, you have the ability to learn those pathways, and if for some reason you have cognitive changes that continue to evolve over time, because those pathways have been established, you can live independently longer because you now know your way from A to B. If you wait the extra year or 2 years, oftentimes what'll happen is you'll never learn those pathways. The process of transition, I don't think is ever easy. Ultimately, my mom, when she becomes frustrated, can look at that situation or at that moment sometimes and say, well, I trust him enough, he must be looking at this closely and hopefully is making the best decision that, you know, that we can be making together. In terms of timing, when the time is right, you can't look any of this information up. And so you have to use your gut. And you know, in photography, one thing that happens for me is there's this notion of anticipation, that if you see the shot and hit the trigger, you're too late. And so I try to anticipate maybe what's coming in a way, so that we can be in a position to ultimately like kind of not have to play catch up. And even though, you know, my mom at times may feel that she is at touch mark too early, I'd rather be there slightly on the earlier side than trying to play catch up in the end and ultimately never get caught up.